I have been looking at some underquilt protectors for your hammock, and they're expensive, and typically I would need to import them from the US, which would encounter a tax of its own, import tax, and very high postage. So I found a guy in the UK, and he makes underquilt protectors out of a ripstop nylon, a little cottage industry. I guess he just makes them at home or something in very small quantities. He also makes underquilts and underquilt shells if you want to stuff your own and then just sew up the ends. But if that was the case, I'd rather let the guy himself make one for me. Right, let's see if we can find somewhere to pitch up. Well, it's not a very good day today, very damp, which is an ideal opportunity to test out an underquilt protector. And some of these very old trees over there have all fallen. Plenty of big boys, and another one here. This looks pretty fresh. You can see how blonde the wood still is here, and it looks like it's come from this stump here. So in no way would I want to come here for the night. Part of the trouble if you're using down underquilts is they're going to get damp in the winter when it's cold and wet like this here in the UK. It's that kind of environment. Very high precipitation wets out your down underquilts, and if that happens, the feathers will wet and then they won't want to insulate anymore. So keeping my underquilt protected is pretty important. I've only brought the basics out, which is the hammock, the suspension, an underquilt not rated for the current season, and the underquilt protector. Now I have put everything into stuff sacks, which I don't usually do, but for this one occasion I will. It's only a little 8-foot day hammock for demonstration. The underquilt is, let me see, hammock gear. It's the 20 degree, and this is what we're looking at today. This in the red sack here is the underquilt protector. The only colour is a camo, a woodland camouflage. That's either going to be to your advantage or it's not. You should be able to see some of the ripstop material in little squares, so it's good to have a ripstop. And I've had a close look at this, and I really like what he's done here with this. So this corner here is where you'd fasten up against a draft coming in, foot and head end. There's a little pull tab on a shock cord that goes through a webbing here in green that is sewn in, then to a single cinch toddle, and then back into the actual material, into the hem. But have a look there, he's actually put a little grommet into there, a tiny little grommet, so you're not going to get any wear from the friction. That's a really neat little thing. The way you tighten it is grab your little toddle and simply just pull, and it tightens up where your foot and head end would be. And I also like the fact that he's put white here at the end, so provided I've got a little head torch on, I know which is my underquilt, I know which is the underquilt protector. Now I've got to be honest, I've not put this out for the whole night yet, so this is a first impressions preview, and so far I'm happy with it, but only time will tell if, you know, on them wet, rainy, damp mornings if my quilt wets out. I've also tried synthetic quilts recently, although they're a lot better for a UK winter. They're just not as warm as down, and I like being warm. If I'm going to carry anything in my pack, I'm going to carry kit that works. Just want to use the little traveller hammock, little continuous built-in loop on the end there. And we looked at the Beckett hitch quite recently, so I'm going to quickly tie one in here as quick as that. So I'm not out for the night, so it really doesn't matter about perfecting the actual hang itself. I'm only demonstrating the actual underquilt protector. But next is this. So why is it important that I protect this so much? Like I said, it's very expensive. It's got goose feathers in. Goose feathers don't like the wet, because if they clump together when they're damp, they fail to insulate, and the whole idea is insulation, keeping you warm. So the significance of using an underquilt protector in environments that are wet and damp, like here in the UK, is paramount, I think. Now I have started modifying, I think his name is James's underquilt protector. I've started modifying it. I can see where improvements can be made, generally just for my own laziness, really, of just wanting to set it up a little quicker. I just clip straight in to the continuous ring on that side. I'll get the beaner from the other end straight into the continuous loop, put the hammock into the underquilt. Finally, the sun's coming out, and I'm not going to make any adjustments, raising, lifting or moving the underquilt. It's not what this is about. All this is about is the underquilt protector. I'm going to put it on the way he seems to have designed it, which is a bit like an underquilt. He's designed it so it moves a bit like the underquilt itself, where I can move it up the line or down the line, and I don't think that is necessary at all. So I have started modifying it. Why don't I think it's necessary? So here's my underquilt, and let's imagine I've just spent 5-7 minutes altering it, lifting it, moving it to the left, moving it to the right, and adjusting it to get it exactly how I want. Now, his underquilt protector is designed in much the same way. I have to put it on and then move it left, right, raise it up, down to match the configuration of my underquilt here. And I don't think there's a necessity to do that. I think you could just clip it on, but I'm gonna put it on the way he's manufactured it. So here is the shock cord. That is from the underquilt protector, which I'm going to put into the same carabiner, and in that goes. One end, we'll do the other side exactly the same. So I haven't made any alterations yet. You can see there's a big bit of underquilt in brown here that's still showing. Here's where I need to pinch that little toddle, squeeze it and pull until it does cover. You can see you have a lot of underquilt here that is still showing. Here's where we need to tighten up. Let's pull on that. There should be a white cord on the other side, and pull on that. Oh, that's lovely. So still got the underquilt air cushion just there. That's blocked a lot of the wind. I could actually do with tightening this a little bit more, but in general you get the picture. Now that is already tight. You can see I have a good closure on that side as well. But what I have done is make some alterations to that, the way that goes on. Got his little clip, I've cut it to make kind of like a carabiner, and just see if I can clip it onto the actual line itself. There. Now that was a lot easier. I'd rather just clip it to the ends rather than try and adjust it as though I'm treating the protector like an underquilt. On the other side I've already started a modification, but this time with a simple carabiner. Just clip it on. Now I actually find a lot better to do than that is to clip it in and go around twice, and it holds its position, and I can actually move it to a degree like a prusik, up and down. I've got a lot better coverage. So I'm just going to move the quilt along a little like that and come to here, something I can just click on. I don't really want to have to move the protector up and down the line and raise it and lower it like an underquilt. The channel lines, the cinch here, is what is going to snug the elastic up. You still need to keep that, because when I pull that, it's what's going to tighten up around my shoulders. Remember, this is the one I just got a pair of scissors and cut a little end off to make a hook. Use them little toddles either end to lift this up. I'm going to pull and you can see it starting to lift. I'm going to do the same the other end. And that is how you get the elevation to get more coverage. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but just look how easy it is just to clip it on and clip it off and clip it on, that quick. So for the big brand underquilt protectors, a lot of money. This UK made is £60, 60, and the ones from the States are a lot dearer, and you can double that once you put your import tax on, so it'd be 120, 140 quid by the time I got it into the UK. So if you are watching this in the US, you're probably better off getting the ZQ 2Q, I think it's called, and maybe that would work out certainly cheaper for you. But for me here in the UK, as a guy, I'm sorry if I've got your name wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember it being James, makes these himself and sells them to the UK, and that is a big bonus. It's a little cottage industry, which I think it's important that we all support our local cottage vendors, because there's not a lot of profit in it for 60 quid. Think of all the material he's used, the ripstop nylon, the little grommets, the elastics, his time to sew it all. I should imagine that this would be a kind of a hobby that he happens to make a little bit of money from, because I couldn't make one of these for 60 quid. I looked into it. I can't make one for 60 quid myself. For those of you who are aware of the channel, when I go out, I take my down quilts, and I'm in a very low cloud bank at about between 600 and 1100 feet above sea level, and the cloud just sits right on top of me, and my underquilts are saturated, and in return give a bit of wind protection as well as from the precipitation. And if the wind's not hitting it, it's going to be warmer, so I could perhaps elevate this 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. It's exceptionally good quality workmanship. I've checked it all over. I've got to consider that in future I want to keep my quilts dry, and I certainly looked into a lot of other different products, one of which, like I said, was from Dutchware in the US, but it's more of a hammock socket, encapsulates the whole of the hammock and gives a roof, like a big sock that goes over everything. But for this, I only wanted something just to cover the actual underquilt, and it's an underquilt protector. The only colours are, as far as I know, this camouflage here, which is fine. I've got a lot of ex-military kit and I'm trying to get away from that. I'm going to put his eBay link in a caption just here, because this guy is worth checking out. He's got some nice bits of kit, but whether a UQ protector is going to work in the long run for me in the UK environment, I've yet to see. But it'll be interesting testing this out. So thanks for joining me on that. For 60 quid, I think an underquilt protector is a must for the UK. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I'll see you out there. Happy trails.